Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. My name is Tahir I. Qureshi. I'm your host. Tonight's topic is real property stigma. Tonight we have a very special guest, Sean F. Khan, a prominent lawyer. Welcome, Sean, to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Qureshi. As always, it's lovely being out here. Thanks for having me on the show.
So today we have a challenging topic, real estate property stigma. What is stigma property? When it comes to a stigma, it is the unfavorable quality of a property, and it has makes property less attractive, and it has nothing to do with the physical condition or character of a property. So it could be somebody who dies, a suicide attempt in the property, or a major crime has happened in the property, and also wrong numerals, and also property is haunted. These are common things that come to your mind.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about this stigma? Can you define us how it
Absolutely, but before I go ahead and define, I do have to say this, that it's strictly for informational purposes today. By relying on what we talk about today does not form an attorney-client relationship between the viewers and my firm. It is strictly for information purposes, but with that being said, I'd love to answer your question. It's a good thing to differentiate, essentially, between stigmatized property and haunted properties.
Yes.
I think firstly, let's clear that up.
Yes, you
As
should.
you mentioned, as you mentioned, with stigmatized properties, any property that has a history of a murder or a suicide, that is known as a stigmatized property. Haunted properties is supernatural. So if you've heard of stories of ghosts, or if the property has a known history of being haunted, or you Google a property and there's been articles that so-and-so saw some supernatural spirits or whatnot. The law is quite different when it comes to differentiating two things. You have certain case law that has ruled on stigmatized property where there's been a history of murders, or let's say suicides and homicides were not disclosed to a potential buyer, whereas the law is also ruled in cases of a haunted house as well. So it's quite funny the way you say that, but it does exist. There are properties that are known as haunted houses.
The other thing is some people find this unacceptable, but maybe other person or buyer wants to buy it. It may not be as unfavorable to another buyer.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely. It's very subjective. Personally speaking, it would affect me. I would not want to buy a house that's had a history of murder, suicide, or even haunted more so than the other. But some people could care less.
So the important question that comes to this mind is that is the seller who is buying this property, selling this property, has a ethic and moral or legal obligation to disclose that aspect.
Yeah.
So what is the law says about that?
So that's a really good question, and we have to break that down into possibly two segments to fully answer it. You have to look at, before I speak about the legal side of things, you have to look at it from a professional side of things. If a real estate agent, for example, has a listing, or a client is selling a property, and the client tells the agent, hey, there was a murder here in the past, or whatever the case is, they're governed by OREA, we're governed by the Law Society, and there are ethical obligations.
We're governed by RICO.
By RICO.
OREA is an association.
Got it. So it's
RICO.
So OREA, RICO, their guidelines, so it would be OREA's guidelines, they say that you have to disclose as an ethical obligation.
Material facts.
If there is something that is to your knowledge that you know. But what's kind of strange is legally you have no obligation to disclose that.
Yeah.
There is, especially in Ontario. Now, Quebec, there's been a case in Quebec years ago where they have a duty that if any fact would depreciate the value of the property. So as a purchaser, a bona fide purchaser, buyer, be aware, we always say that. If they are purchasing a property that could have a significant decrease in value, for example, then you need to disclose that to them. But here in Ontario, legally, please know that there is a difference between it. You don't have to disclose it, but obviously you have the ethical obligation if you're listing your property to disclose. But we'll speak more on that because there's a lot more we can add on that front for sure.
Yeah, the viewers, as you can see, that when you are talking about stigmatized property, it has nothing to do with the physical characteristic or the condition of the property because they're different. Each buyer who wants to buy a property will feel about somebody died there's a crime. It is not sensitive to them. Some people or the buyer will have a sensitivity to that, like you mentioned that. So it is not that the property has a physical or characters defaults, but it is stigmatized because, for example, there are grow houses in the property.
Absolutely.
And because of grow house, even though to get a occupancy, there is an environmental assessment done by the inspection and the engineers, and the city has inspected the property, and clean up the property will happen. But it becomes stigmatized because there was a grow house, it was published in newspapers, social media, and police has a record of that, but it may not be sensitive to some buyers. So we are looking at ethical and a disclosure by the realtor, because realtor are supposed to ask their seller to make sure they disclose it or not disclose it, get their consent
Absolutely.
on that.
So it's 2 points, like I said earlier, and I said we'd come back onto it, is you have the ethical obligation in a way to disclose it as the real estate agent, and if your client discloses it. However, the principle that we as real estate lawyers, or even as real estate agents, we always say, buyer beware. Do your due diligence, do searches, ask the right questions. So if you're the type of individual that has, maybe you read an article one day in this area, there was a house, there was a homicide or a murder or whatever the case might have been, maybe ask the neighbors. Maybe ask the neighbors. Have you heard something about this? But more so, before we even go to asking the neighbors, I would say, ask the seller. Because once you ask them, the onus is on them to not misrepresent. Then they have to answer. But the seller isn't going to go sit there and be like, you know what, legally I have to tell you that. Because no, legally you don't, but you have an ethical obligation when you have a listed agent that's representing you that is now known of the fact that there is some sort of stigmatized nature on that property, then you do have to tell them. So I would say to my clients, as they're buying, they ask, hey, Sean, we're buying this property. Can you find out this one doesn't have ghosts in it, as if it's a normal thing? I will ask that question, or I will have my real estate agent prepare an offer and put it in there that we need you to give us a representation and a warranty that this has not happened onto the property. And that way they can't avoid it because you're putting it in.
And I have noticed that some realtors, they do put clauses in Schedule B or Schedule A, talk about somebody has not been murdered or somebody died in there, or grow houses, because it also has an impact in terms of financing. If it's a grow house, even though some things are legal now, there is still a requirement that if there was a grow house to disclose it, because one thing is suitable for one but not the other, and this is why important. So the best thing would be to ask the buyer agent should ask questions, like you said.
Ask as many questions as possible.
Ask questions, and the seller has the obligation to honestly answer the questions.
Absolutely.
And the realtor, because under REBA, Section 21, talk about material facts. That means you do your due diligence, and if you find that findings that you discuss with the seller, and it's your legal and ethical and moral responsibility to share that information when it comes to your knowledge.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, so you are a potential purchaser that's looking in and there's rumors about this specific property, you have a lot of tools nowadays. It's not stricted to, obviously, your best route is to ask the seller questions, make sure they answer it. But even the seller could say, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know. I'm not aware. So what do you do around that? You can ask neighbors. You can go around the neighbors like, are you aware of something happened to this specific house? Or the best tool nowadays is the internet. You can put in the address and you'll find if there's anything that's going on with that
you can
property.
Google anything
Literally
now.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is one way of finding out. But as Mr. Qureshi mentioned too earlier, it really does come down to individual buyers and sellers. Well, in this case, individual buyers, because some people could not be bothered less. And some people could be bothered by it. So it all depends what you want.
The other question comes to my mind is that if you have bought the property, you negotiated the deal, and before closing you discovered this property was stigmatized and there is a sensitivity to the buyer. What would be the legal obligation or recourse that we have?
That is quite the tricky situation to be in, because you've now discovered it. Your allegation would have to be that the seller misrepresented. The seller would then argue that I didn't misrepresent anything. I don't have a legal duty to disclose this. Your position would be, guess what? This is a material fact to me that's now changed the course of the agreement. I'm purchasing a house that to me was beautiful on the outside. Now I realize something like this has happened. So what exactly can I do? To me, it's not suitable. So you're looking looking at a very gray area, the law is going to be in the favor of the seller because the law says that we do not put an obligation on you to disclose it. You have an ethical obligation through the listing agent if your agent has disclosed it and whatnot, and if you've discussed it and you're aware. But the buyer needs to ask the correct questions in order to get those answers too. I'll mention a little bit more on the commercial side of things in a minute.
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know what? To add on to that, though, there has been one case, I think dating back to 2012 or 2013, where you had a commercial property, and I believe the Superior Court did rule on this. So you do have some sort of precedent to rely on as an example. And there, the court's decision, the background of the case was there's a commercial property that was rented. The new tenant took over a lease for a few years or so, and they found out on the internet actually that this exact building, maybe floor 3 or story 3, was haunted. They'd heard rumors, stories about it. So they put an application, they went into court, and the judge ruled that this does not affect the value and the physical structure of the building. So for our purposes, we're going to dismiss this. So that being said, what we read into that is it is a very subjective, and it does not, in the eyes of Ontario law at least, it does not affect the value of the property in that sense because it's the physical value that you're paying for, and it serves that purpose of buying that commercial property. So the law is in the favor of buyer be aware. That's what it is.
Yeah. The viewers, when you're watching Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz and Trade, we're talking about real property stigma. So this is a combined effort of a buyer and the realtor who is representing you to make sure they do due diligence, to investigate all sources of information available specific to the property. If you can go to the city, you can go to MPAC, you can go to a police department, you can find out anything had happened because city will have a list if the property has a fire, it was rebuilt. There are insurance claims on the property if there was a disaster in the house. If there is somebody got murdered or killed in the property, you can get that report from your regional police office. Or if there was an environmental concern, you can go to Ministry of Environment, even municipality, because they need to inspect the property.
Yeah.
And they have this all information available to you before you consider an offer. Yeah. In our offer, we have certain clauses that Uriah has developed for us where we put the obligation on the seller to certify that this house has no such violation or concern that you put in and you can put in Schedule B,
Yeah.
Correct?
Absolutely.
That is the only mechanism if you are implementing an agreement of purchase and sale and going to a lawyer, if the conditions are not specified in the contract, you won't have any tool to help.
I couldn't agree more, and that was going to be my next point. Should this be of concern to a prospective buyer out there or anybody that has gone through this experience, you'd have to look at the terms of that agreement. And if it's that important to you, make sure your representatives are protecting you the right way and making sure your wishes are being complied with. Because as you said too, it's not something that you can physically go into the property and be like, oh, I think a murder happened in this place or there was a grow operation going on here. You can't. So the best way, you can bring in an inspector, they wouldn't be able to tell you. They'll tell you what's wrong physically with the house, but this is something you cannot tell. So you have to make sure your due diligence is done the right way.
And this is another tip for you, our viewers who are watching, a realtor or consumer. Talk to the neighbor. Go walk to the neighbor and ask them if there was something happen nearby.
Absolutely.
This is the best source. It's free of charge.
Yeah.
Knocking on the neighbor's door, if you have you suspect something happened, you can knock door there. I remember about 6 months ago, one of our real estate agent working for City Pro has a concern. The seller died in the house, and this was a concern. So I asked him, go knock the door, and they confirmed that the person was sick. He went to the hospital, he died there. He did not die in the house. So this is another way of verifying it, walking to the neighborhood where the property is.
Agreed.
To see if there is any issue or concern that they have. What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree with it. The only thing that comes to my mind now is with the pandemic, maybe they're going to ask you to do it through Zoom or virtually rather than ring your neighbor's bell. But no, to the point that you're saying, I totally agree with that. That is probably the other best way. Do it through your representations, through your agent, your lawyer, but also do due diligence on your own. But it's very subjective. Some people don't care. They think, oh, okay, to me it makes no difference. Perhaps you can even, a negotiation tactic. I don't know, I'm not giving advice, but just for sake, you could think about it. They've disclosed it to you, it doesn't bother you. It's out there to be, each to their own, I would say there.
So, it is something that is concerned to us. So we're going to take a short break right now. Realty Coffee Talk will come back to you.
छोटी सी तकरीब में शिरकत भी आपके प्यारों को कोविड-19 की जानलेवा बीमारी का शिकार बना सकती है। जब तक सबको वैक्सीन नहीं लग जाती, अपने घरों में रहें और जिंदगियां बचाएं।
Manjula.
Oh, Anushka. Thank God you remembered us after such a long time.
Your house is so elegant. You must have gone through a hard time to find this kind of place.
This didn't take much effort in finding thanks to Riaz. Pupudu and I mentioned the things we really wanted, and according to that, Riaz found this house. And he also showed us the path to buy a new house while keeping our old house.
Oh, Manjula, can you give me the number of Riaz so I could contact him today itself?
A household name, Riaz Rauf, Rushdie Rauf.
Love that chicken from Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
2020 का लाजवाब ऑफर, जहां हम 0% फाइनेंसिंग पर आपकी मनपसंद कार दे रहे हैं, फ्री विंटर टायर्स, और साथ ही हम मुफ्त ऑयल चेंज भी दे रहे हैं, वो भी उम्र भर के लिए। अभी आएं और इस लाजवाब ऑफर का लुत्फ लें। जल्दी करें, आपका खुशामदीद हमारे आउटलेट में, जो कि 60 क्वींस प्लेट ड्राइव at intersection close to Highway 27 and Rexdale opposite to Woodbine Racetrack। जल्द से जल्द इस ऑफर का लुत्फ लें। आज ही कॉल करें सुनील अग्रवाल को 647-703-0218।
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the globe. You're watching this program on satellite TV, cable network around the world, who are subscribers of our Awaz ENT 580 channel. We are talking today with our lawyer Sean F. Khan, and issue coming to us in Canada, they allow 4 plants to grow legally. Marijuana plants in the house is legal. But this creates a concern also, because it creates moisture, it consumes a lot of power, and there is a possibility of fungus and other contamination in the house. It changes the environment. If someone is using excessive plants and created that environment, it created fungus in the house, and which leads you to health sensitivity to some buyers. What are the precautions that they should do in terms of me? And normally, as a remediation effort, they need to hire environmental engineer to give assessment before occupancy permit is given.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what is the legal obligation? If somebody say, I signed the agreement, I'm buying for it, I discover this.
So what I would say that basically you want to make sure the property, the unit is safe for you. So
safe, yeah.
It comes down to safety. So whether it is the mechanisms that are using in the grow house, I'm not too familiar with exactly they're doing there, but clearly they have to be following local bylaws. They have to have their permits. They need to do everything is being regulated in that sense. In the event it's not, then obviously it's illegal, and we don't even want to discuss when things get illegal. But you'd have to make sure your health and safety mechanisms are all in check, and like Mr. Qureshi mentioned, have somebody to come in with it for an inspection to make sure everything is check marked and good to go. But with that being said, there will also be that stigma around that. If you ever get a property that was known as a grow house, or it had marijuana plants there, or there was a big drug bust, or whatever the case might be, that is something that naturally that property will. There's no legality behind it. There's no anything of structure, but it's just common sense that property may have a stigma, associated with it, with an illegal operation being carried out of there. Should it be illegal?
Yeah, I noticed that we talk about that a suicide or death in the property, and it's very sensitive to some. I have experience with some of my clients in the past, and they were not sensitive to it. He said death is a natural part of our life. Sooner or later, everybody going to die.
Yeah.
So he says it doesn't bother me, but it was sensitive to some buyers.
It's phenomenal that you brought that up, because I don't recall exactly what year or when that case was, but I do remember skimming through a case that once discussed something along these lines, where sellers had sold the property to purchasers, bona fide purchasers, good faith purchasers that had came and bought a home. Later, they found out that the seller's child had actually committed suicide in the property. And then it went to court. Obviously, the ruling on this end was, it came down to this. I'm just trying to summarize it to the best of my knowledge, that this is something that is very individual and subjective, but it's not something that they were to disclose. It's not a legal obligation for them to do so, because you could be tormented by the fact of that somebody took their own life in this house. Somebody else could say, I don't care. I love the house. The kitchen is fantastic. It's got a stainless steel fridge in there. I'm going to take it.
But I remember there was a very famous case in St. Catherine, Bernardo case,
Right.
where they demolished the house because there were young girls were killed there, remember?
Yeah, so that is an extreme case. It is one where the better interests of society and justice would come into play too, because that is quite the, I'm not sure what's going on with that now. I remember
I think
there's
he's
an
still,
appeal.
he didn't get the parole yet, but
Fair enough, because I remember studying this too a while back as well. And you're right, it's things such as those, the question comes as to societal questions and the questions of, access to that is, as a community, how does it affect you? So those are cases that, in my opinion, that should be the ones that are disclosed more so than if there was a homicide in a house.
see, the
otherwise.
problem is that when you have a sensitivity to the stigma, and when a crime happened and it is publicized in a public domain and well known, people tend not to go toward their property, and because of that identity of that particular property where the incident had happened. Correct?
So I would say absolutely correct, but this is something that's way more in your expertise areas with your clients. If you're doing showings, listings, or speaking to prospective clients, they would speak to you, and you get to know them as a person. From the legal point of view, we usually get the transaction. And I think last time we were on the show, I discussed this as well. As lawyers, we usually get the transaction when everything is done, the deal is finalized. If you're a prudent agent, like some of our friends are, they will give it to the lawyer, be like, why don't you review it, see if we can add something in there or not, or they're familiar enough with a lot of the terminology. The point of me saying what I'm saying here is, if we are aware from the get-go that our purchaser, client, mutual client, is sensitive to such natures, we will go a mile extra and do further due diligence. But if it comes down to what Mr. Qureshi said too earlier on, it's subjective. Some individuals do not care, some do care. So we would take that extra step and initiative to make sure.
Viewers and realtors, I request you to consult with your lawyer. Who's you going to hire to complete the transaction? Because in Canada, particularly in Ontario, you need a lawyer to close your transactions. And when you are giving a signed, completed contract, there is no room to renegotiate that contract. The lawyer cannot help you because you already committed the terms and conditions of that agreement of purchase and sale. So the best thing is to bring your team together when you are negotiating or preparing your offer. I always go to Sean and ask him, what do you think about this offer? Should we add more condition or whatever? So the important thing is to cover all areas of agreement of purchase and sale. Price is one thing, conditions are second. They
Well
go
said.
simultaneously together,
Well said.
correct?
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And to be honest, it doesn't have to be limited to just today's topic is stigmatized property, but the gist of what Mr. Qureshi is saying, anything that you want clarified that is outside the scope of just a regular discussion between your representative, whether legal or your real estate agent, ask away, because we're never going to know until you ask. There's certain things we have to legally do to ensure you have free, marketable, clear title to the property, but then there's additional things that you may want to use for that specific unit or a property that you're purchasing, and it's on closing date we're finding out you actually intended to do this, not that with it, and then we're looking at a can of worms, which we do resolve, but it's tough. We'd like a heads up for sure.
Yeah, I do remember a transaction that I did with a client in Markham, where we discovered through insurance claim, there was a major disaster in that house because of water burst. And because of that, the whole flooring was changed and a lot of conditions happened. And there was about $85,000 claim on that. So I asked my client, and how did I discover that? Because of colors of the flooring.
Okay.
Because I see the color of flooring newer in certain area and certain area was not done. So I asked the question, how can we find out why this floor was changed here on the main floor but not on the second floor?
Yeah.
Actually, the water breast in that pipe there, it went down, not up. Therefore, they have to change all the flooring.
Yeah.
And we discovered that, so I asked my client, do you still want to buy this property, to make sure that he has a choice, because it was a conditional
Yeah.
period.
Exactly.
And he said, well, what is your opinion? I said, well, you got a better and newer
Yeah.
flooring.
Floor, yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Exactly.
And they put a new piping.
Yeah.
So they agree with that, and they say, no, yeah, we want to go ahead, and
Absolutely.
they firm the deal.
Yes.
So this is why it's very important to also check, ask your lawyer. Spend a small amount of money and ask him to do a little bit extra checking to see there's no claim.
If I may add something along
Please.
those lines, I don't want to digress too much, but this is something important now that I have an opportunity to actually address this. We've been noticing a lot of this is happening. I don't mean to throw anyone under the bus, by the way, when I do say this. So you said conditional phase with the story about Markham and the property check. It reminded me of something. The non-conditional offers. Do what you got to do with your representative and your professionals. But one of the things you do see is if an inspection condition is not mentioned, for example, and you put an offer and that gets accepted, now you are legally bound by that agreement. You can't go in this example, had they not had an inspection condition and they realize, oh, maybe there's been a leakage, they would have had to stick with that contract because then you'd be in breach. You need to have these conditions to the best of your protection. No one better than your agents to protect you with that. When we get it as lawyers, sometimes it's a little bit too late to add these conditions. That's why if you're prudent and diligent, you want to ensure, no, I want to make sure I'm getting everything, all the conditions set, bring it to us even before the deal is signed, and for our agents, we can get that done. No problem at all.
Yeah, this is a part and parcel of the stigma, and there is a material latent defects.
Yeah.
Some are that you dangerous or potentially dangerous to the occupant.
Yeah.
That you discover later on, not at the time. Physically, you cannot check those, and those are unfit to live a property.
Yeah.
That's one of the concern, and unfit for a buyer's purpose.
Yep.
And should the purpose be known to the seller or by the industrial professional. So these are very critical things that realtor play a role for a consumer. So make sure that you put condition in the agreement of purchase and sale during the conditional period. Do a very thorough due diligence, use your expertise, lawyer, home inspector, environmental engineers, other things that they need to help you. Consult with them, put that condition. We're going to take a short break again from Realty Coffee Talk. We'll get back to you in a few minutes.
एक छोटी सी सोशल गैदरिंग भी घातक कोविड-19 वायरस को फैला सकती है, किसी ऐसे को जिससे आप प्यार करते हैं। जब तक हम सभी को वैक्सीन नहीं मिल जाती, तब तक घर पर रहें, जाने बचाएं।
हिंदी टीवी चैनल अब दस्तयाब है सैटेलाइट और केबल पर। इंडिया, पाकिस्तान, सऊदी अरब, यूनाइटेड अरब इमिरात, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड, यूनाइटेड किंगडम और कई सारे मुमालिकों में दस्तयाब। दुनिया के कोने कोने में पहुंचेगी आपकी आवाज, सिर्फ और सिर्फ आवाज एंटरटेनमेंट के साथ।
एक छोटी सी सोशल गैदरिंग भी घातक कोविड-19 वायरस को फैला सकती है, किसी ऐसे को जिससे आप प्यार करते हैं। जब तक हम सभी को वैक्सीन नहीं मिल जाती, तब तक घर पर रहें, जाने बचाएं।
Love that chicken from Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the globe. Today we are talking about realty property stigma. what are the challenges that we face, what precaution we have to take. We have a Sean F. Khan with us, our young professional lawyer who's helping us to define the stigma and other problems that we have. Now, here's another thing come to my mind. The seller has finished a basement. He or she knows there is a crack in there, but they don't disclose that.
Yep.
And whenever there is a rain, water is coming in.
Yep.
And we have agreement of purchase and sale, is all been firm. Where we stand in this situation?
Yeah, so that's perfect transition from what we were discussing with stigmatized discussions where something is not physical, you can't really see it, there's no way of telling. Something like that affects the true enjoyment of that property. You don't have a house that won't leak every time it starts raining in case of this, right?
Yeah.
So you have a duty to disclose this. It's as simple as that. And if you don't, what does that mean? It's a misrepresentation. You did not disclose this, number one. And because you make a sworn statement that everything is in order, X, Y, Z, this is complete. You're literally lying because it could change. And this isn't one of those things that would be subjective. I'll tell you this, with the stigmatized property, you could be like, Sean, I'm okay with it, I wouldn't. But if I tell you your house is leaking too, mine is leaking, we both are going to say we don't want to get this property unless you fix it.
Yeah, it is, viewers, you're watching is that seller knows that when it rains, it leaks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't disclose it and sell the property to a buyer. It creates a potential legal case, litigation case, where it has to be debated and go to the court. Is costly thing. And it would have been very simple to hire a person to fix that
Absolutely.
crack before you finish the basement.
So there would be two things that would come to my mind with that. Number
Yeah.
one would obviously be, did you put an inspection clause in there? In the event you did, again, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but my question would be, if my client comes to me, hey, Sean, my phone's ringing, what's the phone saying? We bought a house with a basement and it's leaking. I would say, well, did you get an inspection? What did the inspection report say? If the report failed to say this, then I would say, well, this is ultimately that individual's responsibility. See what you can with them. Again, I would like to let the viewers know this is not legal advice, just having a conversation between the two of us. I will also go ahead and say the other way is if you don't have that condition, then it's on you as a reasonable purchaser as well, or seller of the property in this case. As a seller, you got to disclose this. There's no point hiding things. Yeah, sure, you may take a hit on the prices, but that's between your agents to negotiate. Be honest, because people will find out. It's as simple as that.
This is part about the material latent defects.
Yeah.
And also I will point out to viewers and realtor is that when a seller built an addition or created another garage and also extend the driveway without obtaining a permit.
Right. Yeah, oh yeah.
That creates a legal obligation because in your agreement we say
Yeah.
We are in compliance to
Go
Planning
ahead.
Act.
Exactly, yeah.
But on the bottom of Schedule A or B, we say we did the basement,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Side door, whatever it could be.
Right
Yeah.
door,
Yeah.
and without obtaining a permit. So
Yeah.
where is the situation this happens to? Do you face anything come to you?
Yeah, absolutely, but if I start on this topic now, we'll be here all night. So that's
Yeah.
what I have to say about this. But to answer your question, yes, that is a big problem, and it's a practical one that we do see at times as well. You could have people doing something as little as extending their driveway by 2 feet to the side left. Maybe they want to expand it. If they don't get the proper approval from the committee of adjustments or whatever the case might be, you're looking at a lot of issues because you may sell a property like that. Now then that is also something for us to consider with agreements. Are we selling it on an as-is basis? If we are, then the purchaser is assuming it on the as-is basis, which means that any liabilities that arise afterwards, too bad, the seller would say. But if the seller is making a representation, no, everything is good to go, the zoning is in order, the unit is registered and so on, and later on you find out it's not up to compliance, it's not up to code. It is a nightmare situation for everybody involved, and you have to get lawyers involved.
In terms of stigma property, especially the grow houses, one thing is very, very important. Sometimes they modify the interior of the house to provide enough moisture. When you have too much moisture in the house, it creates fungus in the house. And once the property is abandoned by the person who has used it, or something, this happens when people are renting the property and modified it and do illegal things there, the city will shut down that property and then you have to do rebuilding and get the occupancy permit from city you have to get a proper maintenance repair.
Yep.
It may have to be totally renovate the property from top to bottom, including insulation and structure. And sometimes you have a fire.
Yep.
They have to, because it has a structure instability, and they have to get a structural engineer to verify that this property is now livable. In those situations, city is involved, your engineer is involved, air pollution inside the house is involved, environmental engineer. So there is a lot of recertification is being done. It is not bad when you're buying the property if you ignore the stigma, but the property for situation of a fire, somebody died, or grow house, they are cleaned again. They're clean, environmentally recertified by the city. So only thing you're concerned is that you don't like the stigma.
Exactly.
Otherwise, the property is habitable.
So going back to what you were mentioning too, it's in the event that you do end up choosing a unit that's not up to standard, it's a lot of codes and compliances you got to go through, whether it's the fire code, the building, the ESA. It's lengthy, but it will get you what you need at the end of the day. That's the most important thing. And then, to kind of touch back on the stigmatized property area too, that's something, as we mentioned throughout the last hour or so, it's subjective. You do have an ethical obligation to do so, but legally you don't have to disclose it in Ontario, because the buyer has the responsibility of making the inquiries and asking the correct questions.
One thing is very, very clear for realtors. A realtor get in possession of the property under REBA section 21, which talk about the material facts. You have the obligation to disclose the property information, and with the consent of the buyer, a seller, to make sure that they know what's going on and make sure they're comfortable making a agreement of purchase and sale, or putting a very specific condition in the offer to make sure you have time to do the due diligence so you feel comfortable with your purchase of the house. Because this is the most expensive financial decision you will be making in your life, and you want to make sure you enjoy the property when you are buying a property.
Absolutely.
Right? So if viewers, you are watching Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment, if you have any question, you can call us 647-484-0018. Realty Coffee Talk, myself, we have negotiated very special rate for home builders, renovation people, and also a lawyer, also real estate brokerage, to advertise at Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment. So you can call this number 647-848-0018 and get your best deal to advertise in Canada or around the globe. So we are going to close our program right now in terms of giving a final thought about this stigma.
Yep.
So what is the advice that you give to your realtors, because they are the one who's finalizing the agreement of purchase and sale?
In conclusion, if you're on the buying end and you have you ask your clients the correct questions, firstly, what exactly they're looking for in the property. You guys are the specialists, you know what you're looking for there. In terms of stigmatized or haunted properties, I should say, and maybe your client will laugh at you if you ask them this question, but you should ask them, would something of this nature affect your intention of purchasing this property on the purchasing side? On the listing side of it, you should make an effort to ask your client that, listen, we're about to list this property. Are you aware of any XYZ things that have happened here that would categorize this as a stigmatized property? Or is it a haunted house and that's why you're trying to get out of here? I don't know. That's something that you two will discuss, for more of you. But it kind of reminds me of that William Shakespeare quote from a while back, that the truth will come into light. Murder you cannot hide. Something along those lines. So be honest, tell them what's going on, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, on my own end, if you're looking for a real estate lawyer for purchases or sales, Google us, SFK Law. We'd be happy to help you out. The market is on fire, I should say, so if you need a lawyer, you let us know.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sean, very much for joining us today to talk about realty property stigma. Viewers, Realty Coffee Talk goal is to increase awareness and building consumer trust in real estate and mortgage financing. Awaz Entertainment is your source, a source where you can learn about our programs and ask questions, get your answer from the expert. As you know, I'm a real estate broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. brokerage. I'm a fellow of Real Estate Institute of Canada. I'm a CIPS, Certified International Property Specialist, also principal broker of Canada Mortgage Inc. When you are dealing with real estate and mortgage financing, they are both professional, regulated. You must have a license to practice in real estate and mortgage. So it's very important for viewers, if you are dealing with a realtors or a mortgage broker, make sure you ask them to provide you a copy of the license to make sure this is a valid license, or you can search on Google them, their name, to make sure they are licensed, the people who are dealing with you, to make sure. This topic today, the realty property stigma, is about teaching you to be aware of it, learn about it, and it could be sensitive to one person, may not be sensitive to another buyer. So keep in mind that suicide or death can happen in a property. Property could have a major crime scene, or it could have a wrong numerals, or property is haunted. It is the buyer decision to make sure you make informed decision by consultation with your lawyer, your home inspector, your city where you live. You talk to environmental, you talk to the insurance, you talk to your fire department. They have all the information about the property before you put down your offer, and consult with your lawyer to put very specific condition to protect your interest. My name is Tahir Qureshi. I am your host tonight at Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the globe. We take this opportunity to thank our health workers, doctors, nurses, police officers, and our armed forces providing services and protecting our fellow citizens in Canada, around the world. May God bless you all. May God bless Canada. We'll see you on Realty Coffee Talk next Thursday at 7 p.m. on Awaz Entertainment in Canada, around the world. Thank you and good night.